DC Galactic Soul, the Honorable Brother, the Revolutionary yourself, Darius Lockhart, and I'm here to tell you to watch Powerbombshells every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern on the Fight Game Media YouTube channel. That's right, every Sunday at 1 p.m., and that's on time, every time, because when we stand together, what time is it? That's right, it's nation time.
Welcome to Powerbombshells 140. I am Mel, and that is not Sam. Joining me today is the lovely and wonderful and awesome host of The Rap and our friend and one of the original honorary broads, Miss Keela Cash herself. Welcome to the program.
I've never been here within like a 2-week span. Normally I'm here once a year for Halloween or the pre-show for an AEW pay-per-view, but stepping in for Sam is a pleasure, and I'm glad to be here this Sunday. And listen, I know, Sam, that you haven't won consecutive games since 2022, but this is still NFC South beef, okay, with the Falcons and the Panthers. I love you, but you know that is beef that runs deep.
As someone who shares interconference rivalries with Mike Gilbert, I feel for you all. He literally did a run in, and it would have been like 3 or 4 a.m. his time to come on our show. He like messaged Sam last year because I was giving him shit during the playoffs, so he could run in on our show and give out to me about the Hawks. So. NFL Sunday. This is what we do. We go up against it and even talk about it on our very own show.
Yes, so. We go head to head in multiple ways. I love Sam, but I had to get that off one time.
Oh, I love that stuff. What's so great about just like with wrestling is like fun beef, because obviously you aren't going to like hurt each other over it. It's just like your teams and it's fun, and like that's the best. So you have to take the digs. Because believe me, I will say that the 49ers suck every single time.
As you should.
I mean, or my favorite when it comes up is Stuck the Feelers. Because 2005 still hurts to this very moment. And I'll never let that go. So anyway, yeah. So if you got all those references, congratulations, you're an NFL fan. And thanks for being here and being in our chat. And Keel and I are going to talk about some wrestling stuff today. And Sam's getting better. And when she feels good enough to be back, well enough to be back, she will be. But in the meantime, we have our awesome honorary broads. And like you said, it's really fun that you actually got to come here. I was like, we really should. Sam and I actually talked about it, and it was like, we really should have her on more than once a year.
I make my twice a year quota now. Like now I need like one more pre show, and then we're good. Because ironically, when I'm on those, my predictions tend to come true, which is just eerie. So maybe we need to do one sometime next year.
We've got full year coming up. I think we might have a guest, but maybe we'll let you join anyway because we want to help Sam rest her voice. I think she may want to, and again, when she feels like it. But if she does for the full gear pre-show, she might need some help with a couple of other of us nerds filling in the blanks. And Full Gear is actually shaping up to be kind of a big enough show where we could have a few people on to talk about it because there's a lot going on there. But we'll get to that part at the end probably because there's a list of things finally. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We will keep the home fires burning for Sam as long as we need to. So let's see here. Ooh, I did not wear a Seattle Seahawks hat today because I don't know why. I just felt like this. As I was telling Keela off air, I felt like wearing a kind of like happy, fun, peppy looking, like something that made me happy and excited because it's been a daunting week. So I felt like we needed to have a fun show and talk about fun stuff and be happy that Sam is cancer-free and healing lovely and just talk about the fun parts of wrestling.
Absolutely.
Good things happen this week. So, oh yeah, and she did that. And let me check all these. And Sam even says Keela has an open invitation anytime she wants. She can crash any show. Look at that, any show.
Listen,
Wow. I don't think anybody else on the network actually has an open invitation to crash any show. That might be. I might have to write that one in the notes. Just you have it. You have a clipboard or a suitcase, or whichever one you prefer. Like you have a suitcase now to run in anytime.
I can cash in at any moment and crash your show. Thank you, Sam. I feel so special.
Your last name is like double meaning right now.
Yes, I can cash in.
You're Keela Cash In.
Oh my gosh, I'm cashing in. Let me try to cash it all in. That'd be hilarious, actually.
That would be so funny. Keela Cash In it all in. It would at least be more exciting than some of the stuff that's happened around All In before.
Oh my gosh.
Brad says my team is trash. I hate football so much. At least the WNBA and the MLB teams I root for won championships just weeks apart. Brad, I feel you. The Seahawks. Unfortunately, our quarterback is a career backup, but our O-line is like, they just don't help. It's like, I'm just saying, and I said this for years about Matt Stafford when he was here in Detroit. It's really hard to throw the football from your back or your ass. Just saying. It's really hard when you're on the ground. It's not even legal. So, anyway, that's all. We should switch. And that's been the NFL Minute on Powerbombshells, in keeping with our normal and wonderful, always talking about weird crap before we talk about wrestling.
Yes, and I'm sharing Brad's message too. So why is Daniel Jones still in the league? I'll take this one, Brad. I don't know. Your hope at this point is that in the next 4 years, the Giants tank so badly they get Arch Manning as their quarterback from Texas. They're telling him to do the full 4 in Texas. And if the Giants tank horrifically for the next 4 years, you would get a prodigy Manning that can run and throw. The most athletic Manning you could possibly get in the gene pool. I'm praying for you. Get Arch in like 2028.
Is this like a son of one of the others? Obviously the name is he like Peyton's kid or something?
He's Cooper's. So Cooper was actually
Cooper. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Like in the timeline of the lore of the Manning family, Cooper was the more talented quarterback, but his career was cut short due to injury. So you give life to this prodigy, and now he might be the one to be the next in line to keep their bloodline going in terms of football.
Interesting. I like it. That's interesting. I didn't know that. That's cool. College football I've fallen off of a lot of because I coached youth sports. And so it's like the baseline feeder for programs like that. And everything from dealing with parents thinking their kids need to be superstars and putting pressure on them at way too young of an age to the NCAA at large, which I just find what they do. To call what these students do, student athletes do, anything less than indentured servitude, even with some of the things they've given them, is to be a little bit in denial. And I kind of fell off of it that way. And then the NFL started making kind of crappy decisions about its social stances. And so I took some time off from that too. I've fallen back in because I have friends that enjoy the NFL with me on the field and in fantasy and what we're talking about. So it's better. But I go back and forth because it's just with everything, it's do I want to give my money to this right now? They're being dicks. So it's one of those things. But the Lions are doing the one thing that's so nice, and like we just missed Seattle winning the Super Bowl. We were there for the first Super Bowl, but we had to leave right before we won the actual Super Bowl. And so we didn't get to go to our, parade or anything. We had to watch it from afar. The Lions are doing really well, and I'm not saying they're going to win Super Bowl or anything, but if they did, it would be like we would go because we didn't get to go to ours. And there's nothing better than when the home team is winning. Like my friends are happy. My community is happy. Everybody's got Go Lions banners everywhere. It's like, you're not my team, and I'm not going to bandwagon jump or anything, even though my team sucks. But I do enjoy when the home team is winning. I think that's fun. I like that. The vibe, and Detroit's a good city. Like, I'm sure Atlanta's probably like this, and I know Charlotte's like this. It's like, because you're like normal working class towns where people kind of get behind it. It's something everybody can sort of feel good about and get behind it. It's like everybody goes to the store on Sunday and they're in their jerseys or their tees, and it's all cool, and you're high-fiving strangers, and it's like everything's gonna be okay. It'll be okay. We can all agree on some things still. So I love that vibe. I love living in areas where that vibe is there.
Yeah, sports is unifying. Like in Atlanta, we went through like this drought for like years in terms of winning nothing. And then Georgia football starts to thrive. The Five Stripes, Atlanta United, like they beat Miami yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, we might actually win the MLS Cup again. Are you kidding me? So I'm super excited. So like now I got to be locked in for the playoffs there. And then of course the Falcons have a winning record, which hasn't been the case in a few years. So it's like optimism springs eternal for Atlanta sports fans, because when you're in the championship race and when you win, there's nothing like feeling that excitement for fans that have been long suffering. And Detroit, to me, like they're like my sentimental team. Like I want them to go all the way. And I think I would actually cry, because if they win the Super Bowl, that'd be like incredible, because like this team was 0-16 at one point. And look at them. Great coach, great team. I'm pulling for them outside of my own team, obviously. So like they're tugging at my heartstrings. They played the Texans tonight, which is going to be a very good game on Sunday Night Football. Looking forward to that. And Daza asking one of life's great questions. Did rugby ever take off in America?
There is a little bit of pockets of rugby. I've met, like out in Seattle, there were pockets of semi-pro rugby, especially, and this is going to make you, this is for the interesting thing, is women's semi-pro rugby was actually bigger around the country than men's rugby has been, to the best of my knowledge from my like sports experience. They actually did a piece on it before they ended real sports, and I looked further into it and was like, oh, this is taking off in a bunch of places. So I think there is places like Seattle and like anywhere that a city has like a big international community that like comes from a large portion of the globe. There's pockets of stuff like rugby and a little bit of cricket. Lacrosse has come and gone with being really good and then being really bad and then being really good again. And you think Garrett had an interview with one of the like pro lacrosse players not too long ago. Maybe it was Garrett, but it reminded me that back when we were in Seattle in 2009, 10, 11, we actually sponsored our pizzeria, the semi-pro lacrosse team there. And that's when I figured out there was a rugby community too. So it's not big, but it's big where it is big. It's like junior hockey. I related to junior hockey. Like junior hockey in pockets like Everett, Washington, where we were, like everybody was at those games. Those season tickets were sold out. That wasn't pro hockey. There was no pro hockey team in Seattle for the longest time. That place was packed on game night, like packed. And everybody was there. And there was a regular fan base that did regular things just the same as if you went down to Safeco. Well, it was Safeco at the time. It's Lumen Field now. The Clink. Where the Seahawks play. But the same idea, but way smaller. And so I think the rugby community fits into that. I think people are looking for, because pro sports has almost become like another work, similar to wrestling. Like, not a week goes by where like teams aren't playing the zebras for really real. And it feels like the NFL isn't trying to script the outcome of some of these games.
Mhm.
Like, and like, as someone who was there for the Marshawn Lynch not handoff on the 1 yard line for no reason whatsoever, second Super Bowl, totally conspiracy theory. That's a whole podcast. But there are times when the NFL looks like it's trying to script its outcomes a little.
Yeah, it's very gimmicky for sure. And even though I did not live in Seattle, I was rooting for Seattle against the Patriots that year. And outside of the Falcons choking in the Super Bowl against the
Yeah.
Patriots in 2017, that was the only time I felt visibly sick watching that happen. And I remember I was eating, I was drinking, I was having a good time. I was like, oh, go Seattle, get your second ring. And then when that happened, I put down my chips, I put down my dip, and I curled up in a ball. And I said, I feel like every Seattle fan in America right now, because how in the hell did that happen? Who made the call? Pete Carroll, I'm looking at you. Were you in the tank with the referees? I don't know. But I was like, oh my God, what did you do? Horrifying.
But the worst part about it, though, and the reason that I say that there's a conspiracy here, is that whole season, it was Marshawn Lynch versus the NFL. And Marshawn was winning because they were being ridiculous. The fans in Seattle, I was in the city during all of that. Fans in the city, or no, I wasn't yet. We were gone. So we watched it from Maine and we felt sick and stayed up that night and practically like cried and yelled. But so the whole season, that was where you got, I'm all about that action, boss, and I'm just here so I don't get fined. And he went to that Super Bowl and the fans had put together a thing. They were like, if you fine him, we're going to pay the fine. So they rescinded a fine because it looked bad. So they got to the Super Bowl and it was like, there was no way if he put that ball in the end zone, there was no way you couldn't make Marshawn Lynch the MVP of the Super Bowl that year. And after he had beefed with them the whole season, it felt like there was no way that they wanted that to happen. And that was like, again, that's why like I should have been wearing my tinfoil hat at this point. But like that,
I'm like, Paul, I too was stunned. They didn't run the ball.
I watched one day, they had the top 10 worst decisions in NFL history. And Bob and I knew from the beginning of the thing, we were like, it's going to be Marshawn. It's going to be number one. Marshawn's going to be number one. It's going to be number one. No one can explain it to me. And even the people that tried to be like, well, Tom Brady has the easy and he would have had 2 minutes and 50 seconds and blah, blah, blah. And they do all this nerd math. And I'm like, hey, pretzel nerd, give the ball to Marshawn and let the best defense in the NFL defend Tom freaking Brady. Because don't you think it would have been a better storyline that the last team that had 2 Super Bowls in a row got beat by a team that won two Super Bowls in a row? Like, to me, that would have been a better story. But to them, they were like, Marshawn can't make us look a fool. So, again, total conspiracy theory. At the end of the day, it came down to Pete Carroll making whatever call he made. But
yes.
The NFL has done so many things over the year that are sus, that it makes me feel like, on top of just the hurt of being an angry fan, that, it felt a little like a work. It just did. And there's so many times where I've watched teams, like, I feel the same way about Plexico Burris's catch a little bit on the
head.
That wouldn't have been called a catch in any other game, but whatever. This is a wrestling show, guys. I swear to God.
It is, but
I love my Giants, but I love rooting for the teams that get a ton of hate because it's funny to see social media lose their stuff. I rooted for the Pats when not against the Giants, and now the Chiefs. I have beef with Andy Reid because he's a good coach, but not a great person. So, but I just don't care. Patrick Mahomes is obviously incredibly talented. Travis Kelce is incredibly talented. Like, if it's not my team, I don't care. Like, I know what a good football player looks like. I like the game. One of the reasons I dislike the interference from the referees and advertisers is I just want to watch the football game. That's why I used to like college, was because they used to largely, it was like you actually got to see football games. Like,
the memories of that. I love hating against the good teams. I do enjoy the Chiefs, but I do love the underdogs too, and I'm rooting for the Lions.
Underdog. I'm
Go
an
Lions!
Lover. I am put underdog on my gravestone, dude.
Oh.
He he's my avatar.
We love the underdogs, and
Always have.
Yeah. I will always love the underdog. I root for them. Like, if there's a team that's out there that's like a wild card or they're just bubbling beneath the surface, I'm like, I'm gonna root for you outside of my home
when
team.
I was in Washington, when I was in Washington, I rooted for the Cougs for Washington State because they were little brother there. For a long time, I rooted for Sparty here in Michigan, but I've been taken over by the University of Michigan's medical department, which takes incredibly good care of me. So go Blue. I've converted because all the people that take the best care of me in my entire life, like the important ones that aren't my direct family members, are members of the University of Michigan medical staff, and I'm a Wolverine now.
Hey, rightfully so.
Victory song and everything. I have the right, they loved me, so I love them, and I mean, it is what it is. I mean, despite the Jim Harbaugh thing, but I never liked him. It had nothing to do with Michigan. I haven't liked him like way back, like all the way to his khakis and the 49ers.
My beef with Jim, it's long standing as well. I prefer John.
Actually, it even goes before that. Yes.
I prefer John, the superior brother.
John is the definitely superior brother. You're so right.
I'm just saying, like, go Ravens to a point. That's all I'm going to say about that. To a point, get past the second round and win the games that matter in the playoffs, and then we can have a discussion. I love Lamar Jackson, but I need you to lock in crunch time. Finish the story. Like Cody says, finish your story.
Yep. This is like, I'll tell you my biggest, before we get off the subject, is like my absolute biggest pet peeve in football is getting procedure penalties in important situations. Oh. I don't like, if you want to rage me out, jump when they do the fucking false count when you're not supposed to. When it's like, this is your job, is to not do that. You're not supposed to fall for that. That, and when kickers miss, because as a soccer player and someone who understands the fundamentals of kicking, is that you can go to the practice room and you can go to the weight room and you get to work out with the team and you get to do all the cool shit. And you have one job. Make the fucking kick. That's all. One job. I'm a former kicker. I understand the stress sometimes, but you have one job on the whole football team. And it's important sometimes. So and they pay you a lot. Our punter on the Seahawks is like one of the highest paid kickers. That guy can he does that thing where he can, because he was he was actually an Australian football and rugby player. He can do that thing where he can bounce the football back just enough and land it like just inside the one. It's incredible. It's, as a soccer player, like my entire life, I'm like, do you know how hard that is? Do you understand the dynamics of what that guy is doing with that egg-shaped thing? That's hard enough with the round version. That guy's pretty cool. That's my nerding out for kickers. My secret love of kickers.
Yes, one of my favorite catchphrases that which Eisen always says is punters are people too, damn it. Kickers and punters are people too. They have jobs, they understand the assignment, and they get it done.
I mean, I would love that job. I always thought like, and they did it in what was that movie? It was called Necessary Roughness with Scott Bakula, and it was about football and everything. But Kathy Ireland ended up being like the lady kicker, and I for a long time was like, I could go be a kicker on an NFL team because I've liked the NFL because my dad. It was something I related with my dad on. So since I was like 10, I've been like watching with him. He was a Giants fan because he came from that part of the country. Well, he lived in that part of the country the longest, is what I would say. So that's why I ended up picking the Seahawks because it was like I lived in New England, but my dad was a Giants fan. And it was like I liked who my dad liked until I found my own team. But I love Any Given Sunday. Great football flick. The Replacements is hilarious if we're going for football flicks.
Yes, Remember the
That are
Titans.
funny.
My go-to as well.
Remember the Titans is excellent. That's a good one. The Longest Yard, both of them, both the original and the remake, were pretty good. I like the original better, my personal self. But. Yeah. Paul is asking about the enabling his son thing. Pretty much, I mean, yes. But I mean, that's none of my business. So it's just drug addiction is real. And I just don't think that it's right for you to you should be supporting your child being healed, not otherwise. So yes, that's the reason. Brad says, I love my Giants. I love rooting for the teams. They get a ton of hate because it's funny. Yes, we did that one already, I think.
Yes, we have Little Giants is a
Little
great
Giants.
Yes.
Excellent call, Brad. I haven't seen that. That's an old one now. That's like, God, I say now because of my age. Because to me, it doesn't feel like that's old, but it's old. It's like I saw it in the theater in 1993.
Oh my God. Like we're old now. Like we're 30 something and we're old in age.
Well, it's just weird because not only did like 30 or 25, it's when you can say things like 30 years ago and 20 years ago and stuff, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago in your brain. But also it's like, and we crossed a century. Like not only did we like live in like the last 20 like quarter of the century of the 20th century, but now we're like a quarter of the way into the 21st century.
Yes.
And while they are like the same, they're totally different, but you can see how one came from how this came from that. Like you can totally get it if you're our age. I feel like we know like what is. I think a lot of us, even when we were young, we were like, you know that this could end up going, oh, it did that. Crap. No one listens to kids. We're like, you guys know that if you just let the computers do the thing, we've seen these movies and shut up, kid. You don't know what you're talking about. No one will book. My favorite thing that came out in the 90s, now that we're on that subject, yes. Time Magazine in like 91 did a cover story about how things that you'll never do with the internet. And they literally listed off everything we do with the internet today. It's like people will never book travel. People will never want to shop online because they love the feeling and texture of trying things on. They won't want a travel agent to not help them with things. They won't want to deal with companies through. They want to see their appliances beforehand. It's like, joke's on you guys. Literally, you just listed everything that we do with the internet.
Yes. So. And we make few exceptions. Like I do love the touch and feel of a book.
Agreed.
I love the touch and feel of a vinyl album. So I still go get the essentials. But mostly if I can sit my butt at home and just click one button and have all of this stuff delivered to my house, including food, I'm good. Especially food. You know how great that is to have food delivered to your house and you don't have to sit in a restaurant with humans? That is a blessing.
Well, and for some of us who aren't mobile, like that is an actual huge improvement for our life. I can't drive because of my blind spot, so like it's just illegal for me. Getting things to my house, being brought to my house, is an incredible helpful like tool in my life. So, I mean, notwithstanding the like restaurants and stuff, which I totally understand, because it's so hard. COVID was so hard in the service industry, so it's like a lot of the little niche places that you liked kind of unfortunately could not sustain. And so it's like, and I'm so picky about my food. I mean, it's hard to eat good food in America as it is, and then I'm like very picky about like, what are you doing? Did you cook that to 135 degrees Fahrenheit?
Goodness.
I'm not, but that's why I don't want to go out, because I don't want to be that person, because I know service workers have it hard enough. I don't need to make their life more complicated.
Totally.
So necessary love when the guy tackles her and says, "Welcome to football," and she responds by kicking him, saying, "Welcome to footballs." Yes, I remember that.
Classic. Daza says, "How dare we talk about age? Boo-hoo, I'm 51, LOL."
That's okay, Hobbs. You're the same age as my husband, so it's all right. I always end up in two. I never have friends my age. I am in a time in my life where I actually have one friend that I'm pretty close to that's my age, so we can. But he was homeschooled, so I can't make public school jokes with him. So I can make fun of him for not knowing public school jokes.
Oh my gosh.
We're bros, it's fine. But other than that, it's either all way older than me, like 5 to whatever years older, or 5 to whatever years, like plus or minus 5 years plus younger. I always am in the middle of my group, no matter what. I'm constantly, even my like generation technically doesn't fit squarely into millennial or Gen X. Don't be born in 1979 is what I'm saying, I guess.
And we apologize to all of you that were actually born in 1979.
I apologize. I understand your pain. I don't understand where we fit either. And if you're a nerd, it's weirder. So
yes, I love our moment with Daza saying, "I'm 51, and this morning I spent an hour transforming Snarl the Dinobot or Dinobot. I'm not right."
Yes, it's okay.
It's okay.
I mean,
I love you, Daza. It's okay. It's all right.
I totally feel that. And in the physical media sphere, I love my library. I've gone back to not just reading Audible books, but reading physical books. And I like go to the book fair. We do a book sale every year. And it's funny, I have one even right here. I got this cool China book, which I'm going to read. Oh. And I got a really cool detective that I bet Daza especially will like. It's mystery detective stories. It's like a history of the art of mystery detective stories. And it was the last day of the sale. They call it Bag Day. And it's as many books as you can jam into a bag for $3. But I wasn't thinking. And they actually had DVDs there too. So I came home with a stack of DVDs because I was like, what if the fucking grid goes down? And I need Point Break and Conan the Barbarian in my life. And I don't have them on DVD. That would really, it wouldn't be the apocalypse except if that were the case. So I have a generator. It's good. And I know how to turn it into a solar generator. I'm really good like that. This show is hilarious.
Like, we've spent 34 minutes talking everything but wrestling. And I love that. The variety of Powerbombshells is the best because we give you a bit of everything, including random football diatribes about things that happened nearly 10 years ago, our grievances about that shit still, and so much more. I love that. I love us. I love it.
I love it too. It's Sam, when she watches / if she's watching, would be so proud because we love doing that. And we are going to get to the wrestling so that we don't keep people from their football. And I appreciate that again. And it's fun talking to you guys. So, and now we've all added ourselves on our ages, so we're ready to go. So, hey, big deal. I was very excited. I don't know about you, but when I heard Powerhouse Hobbs music and saw him show back up on AEW Dynamite this week, I was pretty excited.
I was happy to see him back. You know, you forget how much time has passed since we last saw him. It was 6 months ago, and he blew out his knee, and I was like, no. He was on this run that was really good, and now he's back. He's better than ever. He looks great. He was moving well out there, and I hope this is a sustained push for him as a baby face that can truly get over. We've had this start-stop with him for a while now. Inexplicable heel turns I didn't quite understand. He's like a natural, snarly, badass, lovable baby face. Let him do that for like a while. Let him embrace that. I want him to get that swerve push. Basically, like push him as far as you can to world championship status in the next calendar year.
That is exactly, it's so funny because someone else was making the point this week about how Swerve did push, like he took that opportunity and ran with it, and they gave it to him. And I was like, they need to do that with Hobbs so bad and let's see if he can do what Swerve did and take the reins and go to town. Like, he feels like he's been right on the cusp so many times. And then it's another one of the constant problem that we talk about with AEW that frustrates us is they're like, they get a guy like liquid hot almost, and then they're like, oh, we're going to kill your momentum for some weird reason. It's like, what are you doing? Why? And I mean, in his case, he got hurt. So it is what it is. Like, getting hurt is not something you can avoid, unfortunately, in this situation or any pro sports. But now that he's back and healthy, I really am with you 100%. I was very excited, and I'm glad that they just right off the bat were like, and he's done with Don Callis.
Yes.
I was like, thank God.
Thank God, free thyself. I did love the fact they used the clerical error excuse. Like, unfortunately, we could not retain his services due to a clerical error. And for those of you that remember that line, it is infamous with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson when his contract was expired and it wasn't renewed due to what Vince said at the time, a clerical error for one of our biggest stars, whoever graced our screens, whoever stepped foot in our ring. Clerical error. That's what happened.
I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. Sometimes that stuff can work. And this was one of those times.
I died because I knew exactly what the joke was immediately.
And for those of you who didn't know, now you've got a new experience that is actually the right way to do it. You can't do it much, and you can't it's like using a trick play. You can't do it very often. But if you do it right,
in the appropriate situation,
very effective. And this was one of those times because there's so many people I want to be done with Don Callis. And then it was just like, yeah, we're really sorry, but you just wrote the contract totally wrong. You just...
There was one T that wasn't crossed. There was one I that wasn't dotted. The date was incorrect and the contract is invalidated. We're so sorry.
This is like why people... See, it's nice that somebody else got to use that, because usually it's like an insurance company screwing you out of a check or something. It was like, nope, this is better.
Yes.
This is him being totally free to go out and either start his own thing or join up with somebody else.
Yes.
Let's do that. I loved it. I'm excited that... Is he... I don't think as of right this very exact minute he's on the Full Gear show, but I hope that something develops over the next couple of weeks that he does end up on it.
Yes, that he makes the cut, as Brad said. Also, both Hobbs and Penelope Ford looked really good after their time off. Yes, I had no idea.
Thank you for bringing that up.
It's been 2 years since I've seen Penelope Ford in the ring.
Isn't that crazy? Sam reminded me of that a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh my gosh.
It's been 2 years.
I'm so glad that she's another one that's like had really like close calls, and then she just has bad luck, or yeah, I'm excited.
Me too.
I think, is it her that's, there's a Britt Baker match this Wednesday. I saw that like right at the end of something Collision last night. Is
Yeah.
it her that's wrestling,
I'm
or
not
is it Anna
sure.
Jay?
I'm not sure.
I know you guys will probably catch me up, but either way, yes, Hobbs and Penelope Ford, awesome to see them both back. I hope they build them in. They can, yeah, it is good.
Thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Gray. We appreciate that. And then Brad comes
See
through.
Hobbs stick with this AEW contingent United Empire, Will, Mark, Davis, and Rico. That's an awesome. Actually, you know what? I like that. And I have been the big, Brad knows this, but I've been the big proponent for them creating a United Empire AEW branch. Because they're all like it's like all lined up to do it, and then you can do like as you build for like Japan and next year's Forbidden Door that they just announced in that's going to be the London show. You can build to like getting some of like the Great O'Khan. You could get Great O'Khan, and you could get like some of the other like that side of the thing. United Empire is really great. I mean, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis, like I'm a big proponent of the AEW chapter.
I love the AEW chapter, the contingent
of the United Empire. I just think that would be fun. I think it's a good sort of counter faction to some of the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So, yes, Britt and Penelope. Okay, I wasn't losing my mind. Thank you. Anna Jay versus Mariah in a no DQ match on Collision. So, yes. We haven't seen Britt Baker for a while, so I noticed that and was like, oh, So, probably safe to say that will be done. And then, so the Hurt Syndicate is the thing now. And I know that was becoming a thing anyway. And I don't know like much about what they were like in WWE. So this was going to be something I was going to ask you about as to like, did it work in WWE, and do you think it's going to work in AEW?
The original Hurt Business was successful when they were pushed, when they were all champions and they were all suited and they had swag for days. When they were supported, when they had the booking and the backing, it was perfect. With this iteration of the Hurt Syndicate, you do have 3 older guys. And I feel with this run, you need to get guys next in line who are ready for the Bobby spot, the Shelton spot, the MVP spot. Like it needs to be like a feeder system of the next guys in line to be the main eventers. Now, I'm not suggesting the Powerhouse joins them right now. Let that be down the road. If they convert them to baby faces, that's a possibility. I think about Ricochet as well. Anyone that gets the card, if they're up and coming main eventer, I think that should be the focus. Now, for right now, because of who they are and their status and where they come from, of course they're getting pushed, but I would love for them to build the next guys up like Evolution did with Batista and Randy Orton. You have the seasoned vets and Triple H and Ric Flair. You would want to have your next guys who are going to be in those spots ready to go in the next 2 to 3 years. That needs to be the mindset and philosophy. You can't push guys that are 50-ish now, and I love them, I do, but you need to get the next guys who are in their late 20s, early 30s, in their prime in that spot for me personally.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because I mean we've been bringing over AEW has been bringing over a lot of guys from WWE and picking those talents up, and of course some things are just like no brainers, and obviously I love those guys. Like I love Lashley, I love all of these guys are people I want to see successful. I just wasn't sure, like, because again, I don't watch WWE, so I didn't know, but you said it exactly. So that, I mean, I guess that's the thing. But As far as talent goes, Leo Rush looks like he might be joining. Brad says Leo Rush looks like he might be joining. He had a promo on Collision and challenged Swerve to a match on Dynamite to show that he still has it. And I did see that, and I'm hoping that that kind of lends itself to what you're talking about, because I think, like, didn't they give a card? Was it to Action Andretti too that has gotten it? They're going around like trying to give their cards out to people like Leo Rush, and I think Leo Rush said he was going to hang on to the card. Or was that Rick? No, that was Ricky Starks, wasn't it? Or am I losing my mind? Okay, I may be way off. Although I'd love to see Ricky Starks back on TV. But anyway, so I guess, like, I like your idea. I like it to be something that's going to put over younger guys. Like, I guess the patriarchy's sort of doing. They finally have like got something useful for Kip Sabian to do, and Nick Wayne maybe is coming around.
Yes, and Brad says Leo Rush looks like he might be joining. He cut a promo on Collision last night about it and challenged Swerve to a match on Dynamite to show that he still has it. So I would love to see that for the historical purposes of the past relationship between Bobby and Leo. And in this case, Leo will not be a hype man for Bobby Lashley. He'll be an equal.
Oh, that's
And
right.
I love that. That's like undoing the stuff that happened in WWE with their initial partnership. That
They
he
did
would
make
be
him his
treated.
like hype, didn't they?
Yeah.
I remember that now.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes total sense. I like that better. You're right.
Yes.
That
Eddie. Yeah.
yeah, probably. You're probably
Yeah.
right, Eddie. Ricky
Yeah.
Starks probably is WWE bound.
Yeah. When I saw him take an indie booking, I was said, well, that's signs of life. And there might be signs of his contract possibly winding down, because we know the Tony Khan philosophy. If I'm not using you, I would just simply ice you and wait till your contract runs out, and you would not be getting out early.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel for the
I mean,
Lucha
I
Brothers.
get
I
it.
do.
It
God.
sucks because I like Ricky Starks and I think there's stuff to be there. But I guess if Tony doesn't feel like he can use him, then I hope he gets paid.
Yes. Hey, listen, you're getting paid to sit at home and chill out and relax and rest your body, and you can still take dates outside of AEW. The Lucha Brothers is a bigger concern for me because
Yeah.
they're just sitting. And if you want to use Ray Phoenix, if he wants to work, use him. I don't like just sitting people at the crib. The pay is nice, but being active at the same time would be helpful if he can take dates outside of AEW.
It's weird. There's a lot of guys out right now that like could be working that just aren't. When we get into WrestleMania season, if they haven't like done something with those people, that's gonna get interesting.
Yes.
Because there's so much that goes on during WrestleMania WrestleMania season with indies and reorganizations. I don't know. Could go either way. But anyway, so
Eddie
let's
says they should have
see.
been talking. You know what? Like, I agree. I think that if you're trying to leave, it's best to keep that on the
Keep your
hush.
mouth shut.
Keep your mouth shut, honestly, because now that it was out, you're going to get iced out. And Tony, it's a method that was used in WWE as well. They have the right to ice you out of your contract. They don't have to be generous and get you out of it. That's a reality. You signed up for the years that you agreed to. You just should have just kept quiet, ate your food, and strategically left. You never reveal your plans to the press. Ever. You don't do that because it leaks out, and look what happened. You're sitting down for like the next year or so, essentially. You could go if you want to go, but you can't because your brother's stuck, because you said something.
It's so true, because it's something that I think a lot of like young wrestlers and even old wrestlers, but like a lot of people, a lot of professionals, keep your damn mouth shut. Like, be quiet. The most professional thing that you can do while you're working your way through these situations is to just no comment. Like,
No comment.
especially in wrestling, like, and we've seen it in we know how quick it doesn't. That whole stuff about telephone, telegram, telewrestler, that is the truest thing I ever heard in my life. Nothing stays secret in the business. It's nothing. It's amazing. People would be shocked at the things that I have heard like months ahead of time happening that I'm like, well, I trust the person that's telling me this, so I guess it's going to happen. And sure enough, it does. And it's like, because nobody keeps their freaking mouth shut. It's like they can't wait to tell somebody. They can't help themselves. So, especially in wrestling, but really in any profession, like, just keep quiet.
Yes.
You'd have the higher ground.
Yes. A prime example is Jay Cargill. When she came back last year and she knew she was leaving, but you know what she did? She came back, did business, and left afterwards. It wasn't like, I'm back to leave. And she said it to the press. I'm leaving, by the way. Like, no, she came back, and the surprise was she wasn't staying. And that came out afterwards. And that's perfectly fine. That's how you do business. That's how you let your contract run out. And that's how you leverage your negotiating power. That's how you do it.
She's a pro. Good on her. That's how you get paid and get taken care of and don't have to worry about it. I mean, it's like we're all human. We all have we all want to lash out when we're angry, but you've got to consider like the larger picture when you're talking about your livelihood. It's like you would never go on your business. I mean, a lot of people do, and they usually pay the price for it, but you wouldn't go on your like business page or whatever and start spewing your like. Usually you see it. If you start crazy noise, you get crazy response. And it's just not responsible. But, I mean, you see that a lot. So, what are we talking about? The Hurt Syndicate for? Okay, well, I'm not really sure about the Will Hobbs. So being the Hurt Syndicate, along with Swerve Strickland, it's only a matter of time, maybe? Swerve is kind of like a big personality with that. I mean, to me, I feel like if they're going to put him in the Hurt Syndicate, all of a sudden it kind of makes him like the leader of it. That's like when Zack Sabre like joined TMDK. He was like, now I'm the boss. And nobody was arguing.
Yeah. And with Powerhouse, I think like down the road, like not right now, because unless they flip them to baby faces, no. But for future reference, if you want an heir apparent to Bobby Lashley, here he is in Powerhouse Hobbs. That's the perfect marriage in terms of next guy in line that could use that group. If they're baby faces, I don't want a heel turn right now for him, but down the road, absolutely. Why not? I would love to see Powerhouse in a power suit. Yes.
Good. We kind of need a face factor. Like we kind of need them to be. We have some pretty brutal heel factions. I mean, Death Riders there is like the ultimate like heel faction basically right now, but we need some counterbalance, I think, in the thing, and that might be the perfect spot to use it because they've got a lot of charisma and a lot of ability to pull people like that in. Hopefully Leo Rush is like in a good place and stays there because he's super great when he's doing well and gets pushed. Like I saw him on the indies so much. He was so much fun to watch. Like think he could bring a good dimension. I can see Swerve bringing his own crew. E.G. and Dooku and Lee Johnson would be great if they can be built up well. Well, that's always the thing, too, is like, what are they going to do with this? It's like, okay, well, you introduced the Hurt Syndicate. Now what are you going to do with it? Is it just going to be like something you put out there for us? Or is this leading to something?
Yes. And with Swerve, I would actually love to see him form the faction. He's tried a couple of times. It flopped because the pieces weren't working. But if he does what Brad's suggesting, that would be a winner because I want him to actually not emulate, but build on what he was doing in WWE with Hero and do it in a way with the right people that's assembled that really speaks to who Swerve is and get guys also next in line that can be in his spot in the next few years or so. And EJ's a good one. Lee Johnson, we've not seen in a very long time. He would be a great fit too. So I love that idea. So I'm all with it for sure.
I like the idea of Swerve having a faction of his own. I feel like if he joins the Hurt Syndicate, he's bigger than the Hurt Syndicate. They don't like that's its own thing. I feel like Swerve needs to be either starting his own faction or doing his own storyline entirely. He's built himself into being one of the the top card guys in AEW at this point. Like, you can't just be throwing him around to do silly shit. He needs to be a guy doing something, like at the head of something or whatever. I feel like, I mean, you could have them beefing. That would be fun.
Yeah.
The Syndicate versus Swerve's crew.
So Ray asks, Queens, do you think the Hurt Syndicate needs a female in the Hurt Syndicate?
They could have one.
Yes.
The obvious answer would obviously be Athena in my mind, but I don't think they're ever going to put her on the TV. So
put Athena on television. She is the best champion in either of your companies, Tony, that you own. For the love of God, get her off a paywall, put her on TV, and let her dominate. She would be so over in front of a massive audience that would be receptive. Oh my God, what are we doing?
Thank you. Thank you for saying it, because in honor of Sam, I wanted to make sure that we threw in the reference to the segment of what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Athena is money. I mean, but if you wanted someone, that would be the most obvious person to me. That just seems like I guess because Queen Aminata's in the infantry and you could bring the infantry over, which would be amazing. But yeah. She is. I don't know why she's we have Elroy. We have many times theorized on this very show that we believe that Tony is keeping her behind the paywall to try and force people to pay for ROH because he knows that she's money. But literally every other champion, every other talent, everybody has been on. She was on Dynamite one time, I believe.
What are we doing? That is the question of the
now it's like, especially when you're in a situation where you've decided, okay, we're going to make Chris Jericho the champion of ROH so that we can try and get a TV deal, which they're still working on. And, okay, fine. So you don't need Athena behind the paywall then. Put her on the GD freaking Wednesday. I don't even care. Put her on, make her the head of the Collision show. She can be the highlight of Collision. Her and Marina Shafir can beef. Come on. That writes itself in my mind. But I think they're keeping Athena behind the paywall because they want people to subscribe. And I think it's an exercise in futility because she is a feature, but no one's going to subscribe to ROH like that. They'll just either steal it, which a lot of people do, or they just won't know, which is sadder because she's now like one of the most decorated champions in the history of pro wrestling. But also within these two brands, she's like the winner. So,
yeah. Eddie
they
might be getting the deal. If it happens, good. They tried this before. The deal never happened. We'll see. I hear they're getting closer to a deal. I hope to God it happens.
Me too.
So we can end this discussion in terms of what Ring of Honor needs to do. Because at this point, it's either you get a TV deal or you close up the shop and you merge the companies. That is what I would suggest. Because at some point, if you're not going to turn Ring of Honor into a profitable company that's going to make you more money, then you need to turn it into a feeder system and just take it offline. I'm being honest when I say that because you are bleeding resources by doing this without money. You're getting AEW money, but if you can get Ring of Honor back, congratulations. If you cannot, it's time to reassess because the paywall, to use what I say in terms of my lingo, is not paywalling enough. Oh my gosh, I think Mel dropped out for a little bit. So I'm here still hanging in there. So I'm going to run the reins for a bit. Thank you, Elroy, both you beautiful queens. And I will subscribe to Ring of Honor even when Master P on Ring of Honor. I am crying. All right. So let me see. As I kill time, as I wait for Mel to come back, because technical issues do happen. So, Elroy, you're asking about BFAP Street Profits breaking up. Possibly on SmackDown. I love Montez Ford's promo. It was really good. It was not on television, but you can kind of hear the urgency of him needing to be a tag team champion once again. And I do wonder what happens if it doesn't work on Friday. So we'll see. And Mel lost power. We'll be hanging in there. I'm running the ship as much as I can. So stay with us. We're hanging in there. Ask questions in the chat. I can answer them the best way that I can. So we're just going to keep it going as long as we can. I do have a rundown for the rest of the episode because we're actually going to get into the Full Gear card going down in a couple of weeks. The final, next to last pay-per-view of the year for AEW. So we're going to get into that momentarily, but please stand by as Mel doesn't have power right now, which is unfortunate. Oh my goodness. All on a Sunday, I tell you. But she'll be back soon. I believe
I'm back.
She's back.
Oh my God.
That was the wildest stuff because Mel froze on screen. Like, what is going on? I was about to send like a private message, like, oh my God, I am sinking here. Paddling on my own.
I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know why the power in Richmond, Michigan decided to just go off and come back on, but I'm really, really sorry about that, you guys.
It's all good. You. I was keeping.
Fortunately, I'm always logged on to the video, so at least I can. And also, that was Bob letting everyone know that it's so fun. Technology is hilarious.
We was having an interesting like Street Profits conversation. So Elroy was
good,
like,
okay, well, good. I'm glad that you guys were getting by. Thank you for helping Keila. I'm glad like people like Brad and Daza when they're around because they have decided that they would host a show in the chat in our stead if they ever had to. They will always have your back.
Yes. So. And I love this very interesting dissenting opinion about, I think the other Street Profit is the bigger star. It ain't Ford. He thinks it's Dawkins. And I think that both guys, if given the chance, can be single stars. I'm not going to discount one over the other because Dawkins has improved a lot in the last couple of years. Best shape of his life, can talk to. So I say both.
He can talk.
Both can go. Both can go.
I was lucky enough to get to see them during the Evolution times or the Evolve times. So they got to come here. I've got a great picture of them. And gosh, I love those two. They're great. It was nice to see AR Fox last night because I feel like I saw that guy probably like 4 times a year or something, like just in person. And another valuable member of the training staff, at least.
Yes. Another question. Do you think Mercedes is the biggest flop? I don't want to say that yet because
too early to say.
It's too early to say. I will say like the initial start was good, but I think quality of opponents have been an issue for her. And there have been like a handful of good matches since she's been in AEW. The big test for me would be Statlander and her at Full Gear for the TBS championship, because I expect nothing less than a great match from two of the very best. And if it falls below expectations, I will be side-eyeing something or someone. And then we can have that conversation. I will say quality of opponents has been an issue. But I do think Mercedes' character, as she's really gotten into the hero role, that's her natural thing, she's kind of clicked with that. When she dumps Camille, it'll be a blessing. The sooner the better.
Yeah, I think Camille, I like Camille a lot, but I don't know if the Enforcer Camille thing with Mercedes is working as well as it was, and then it wasn't, and then it was. And I love Camille. I think that she's improved a great deal. I think she's good to be in the women's division to wrestle. I mean, you can't say she was a total flop. When Britt Baker came back, she did kind of carry her during that match.
Sure did.
At the last pay-per-view. I mean,
Facts.
It is what it is. Like, she may not be at her top of her game, but she carried Britt through that entire match. And we essentially, I mean, it's a big deal to me, I guess, that Britt is coming back Wednesday, because it was like they brought her back, but then she disappeared, and now she's back, and it's like, Britt Baker's back, and I'm like, guys, what are we doing?
Consistency.
Like, all of the women's division stuff is really good right now. What are you doing with it? Why? I mean, I get it. Like, her and Penelope, fine. Okay, great match. Hopefully it won't, like, lead the show off. Hopefully they'll get a little bit of time. But to me, that just feels a little shoehorned when you still have other people that are all feuding around Mariah May and with Mariah May, and who I think is killing it right now. Like, you've got Jamie Hayter back and in form, if you ask me. Like, get going. Do some stuff there.
Please. There are no Janettis in the Profits, in my humble opinion.
I'm gonna have to disagree. That's harsh.
Yeah, there's no Janettis. Both of them are great on their own, and they're thrive.
I mean,
with good
you
booking.
can have your favorite, but there's no Janettis there. Those two both hold up. They come to wrestle. I just can't. I can't. Having seen them in the, like, literal, like, when you see them at a KO on Knights of Columbus with the chandelier just above their heads. I can't give you that one. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Like, there's no Janettis. I love them both equally, and I won't do that to them, because I think if they are given a fair shake, they can be great single stars in WWE. That's a Paul Levesque call ultimately, and I would hope he makes the right decision there. He's also asking us about Baron Corbin and Indy Hartwell, I presume, talking about their releases from WWE. Baron Corbin, I was surprised by. I thought his run in NXT was actually a career saver for him. He figured it out after all of these years, and I hope he continues. I hope he continues to work if he wants to. He's paid up. He doesn't have to do this, but if there's a passion there to prove a point, he might continue somewhere else. Maybe TNA, AEW, I don't know, but I would love to see him continue to work if he wants to. Indy, she's improved in WWE. That's also going to be contingent on, do you want to continue to do this for a living? If you have the passion to wrestle, you're going to find work somewhere else.
Yep, that's exactly right. And Baron Corbin, God, I thought that he would never be released from WWE, honestly. I thought that they would put him in every gimmick under the sun before they let him go.
Yeah, I was a little surprised as well, because he was actually coming to his own, and I was like, dang, when I like you now, they
finally, after all these years, really? That sucks, because but I guess that, like you said, if he wants to do this, I hope he goes out, because there's plenty of play. Like, Maple Leaf is out there now. TNA is a actual TV possibility if ROH did get a TV deal by some miracle. Like, I mean, what we were talking about is, like, with the ROH thing, especially since, like, Tony bought ROH with his own money, and so I understand why he's leaning into it so hard. But, like, you can't, dude. You have to worry about the $585 million deal, not the, like, side project that I have a good friend and I, who both of us, as much as we were glad that he owns the library and we were very grateful for that, both of us were like, when we heard he bought ROH, our exact reaction almost at the same time in our chat was, but why? And I mean, he bought everything down to the lighting fixtures. Like, he bought the rings, he bought the production equipment, like, he bought the whole shebang. Like, He turnkeyed that, basically. But it's because I feel like because he invested his own money in it, he's being maybe a little unrealistic, and you don't need AEW suffering for that, especially, I mean, the Athena thing is just, to me, it's the mind boggler that will never go away. Like, put her on television for F's sake. Like, just
Please
let's go.
do. Another question from
But here we go. Yeah.
I love Lash Legend. I love her upside. What's your opinion? I love Lash Legend too. One of the best things they did was take her off TV when she wasn't ready a year ago. And when she came back on TV, she was more ready. That is how you get people in position, by not setting them up for failure. In the beginning, they did that, and they made her look bad when she had no business being out there so soon. But thankfully, someone made the call to say, listen, we see potential. Let's pull back. Let's go back in the lab. Let's let her get better off camera. And when she came back for Deadline last December, she looked so much better. She was way more comfortable. Confidence was up too. And ever since that time, she's been growing steadily in the ring. There's still room to grow. She still has time to get there. But that is what you need to do instead of pushing people on TV before it's time. Everybody is not ready-made for television. Trust and believe that. It's a setup of failure because there's potential there, but don't expose them too early. That was a learning experience for Lash. And to an extension, Tiffany Stratton too. She was thrown out there before her time, and it was rough. But they got it together by going off television, coming back, and being refocused with time to get better behind the scenes.
Understanding how to develop talent is almost as important as booking it. So, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I don't watch the product, so I can't really, comment on that. But I'm glad that it seems like that. I mean, with the new, even with the ID program, no matter what your feelings on it are, is if they want to work, if these gyms, somebody made this point, and I think it's true, is like, if these gyms want to actively work with the WWE, that's up to them. And hopefully that means that there's talent development, and that makes room for more jobs. And like, wrestling's not like a traditional sport. It doesn't have junior hockey. It doesn't have AAA baseball. It doesn't have, like, my local team here, my favorite thing in the entire world, our local baseball, like AAA or whatever, is called the Utica Unicorns. So, I mean, wrestling doesn't really have that. The indies is what that is. So, although I guess, I mean, with the WWE thing, maybe Paul Levesque's investing in, like, developing talent. And if he is, Tony needs to be afraid.
Be very, very afraid, because like that's like lining up the next gen, and they're also offering flexibility that you don't have to sign with us. You don't have to sign a contract. You can leave. We have right of first refusal, but you are free to do whatever you like. And that is better than saying you must work here.
Yep. Yeah, and it keeps the door open for you to develop and then sign with them if you want to. Like, you can go to Japan and do your thing if you want to, and then come back and sign on to one of the gyms. Or, I mean, because you can largely dictate your own career, not necessarily your bookings. Like, obviously whoever's going to book you is going to book you, but you can like chase it down. And I mean, we've obviously seen people do it because, people like Will Ospreay, I know people who saw him in gyms with 30 people. So like, they were there when he first started and was not the guy that we're looking at today. It takes a lot. And I mean, Japan has like a intricate dojo system for developing talent for their promotions, so it's totally different than here. But let's see, I got here. What is your opinion? We did go over our opinion a little bit. I don't know what Keela's opinion is, though, if you want to weigh in on the ID program a little bit, because we did talk about that last week.
Yes, I caught that. I love the conversation, and I pretty much agree with what was said. I think it's good by WWE. There is always a fear of monopolizing the system and trying to tilt it in your favor. That's been WWE, predatory in nature, but now we know there's a thing called big ass lawsuits. So you have to be very mindful of that now, that you can't be too overt. So They got to be strategic, and that's why they have the open-endedness of like, you don't have to sign with us. There's flexibility to do what you want to do, but there is a system in place for you to go to our little mini territories and get your craft locked in for future reference. If you do choose to join WWE, if you want to go to AEW, if TNA is an option, if you want to go to New Japan, like, there is flexibility, which I like. Now, how long will it last? I don't know, but I do like the idea of a program that enables you to find the next gen out there. I think for a long time it was a hard line. We need athletes. We need college athletes. We need them to mold. But now you're going back to basics, the indie scene, that you can also find stars that are diamonds in the rough. I think that is something that we need to see more of, the ones that have been working and grinding for years and just starting out and trying to find their way through professional wrestling. I love that come up that way versus just being in the system, being churned out. Here you are, you're a WWE superstar. I like the blend of back to basics, while also doing that too, because you do have college athletes out there who are shockingly great at this thing. Look at Obafemi from NXT. Amazing for 1 year of experience. I see people that have come in those doors who are exceptional, who catch on fast. That's a bless. But also the old school route, you can't beat that either, because a lot of who you see now came from the indies.
Oh, yeah. So much of AEW wouldn't exist if the indies in the 20 teens hadn't existed. It's just true. I mean, I saw so many. It's amazing. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, I saw this guy at my Knights of Columbus league. I mean, you know, you always fear the monopoly, but I think it'll make things, I mean, developing talent is like, they're going to go where they want with the open-endedness. So I think, let's see. I don't know if I want to weigh in on all right, I'm going to put the Samantha Irvin on here only because I want to say one thing about this is anybody who's going after Samantha Irvin for doing what any normal human would do, which is go out and survive and get the best possible job for themselves, should just go F off. Like, leave the girl alone. Like, it's her choice. She made it. Leave her alone. There's a lot of misogyny that's been thrown her way. I don't know much about Samantha Irvin, so I can't comment on her, but I can comment on the behavior I've seen thrown her way, and get a hold of yourselves. Like, calm your tits.
It's been, listen, calm your tits, people. That is the word of the day. Calm your titties. But I will say, like, Samantha, I'm going to miss her. She was a gift as a ring announcer. She really was. And then when she said that wasn't what I really love to do, then you know what? If that was not her first love, then you got to go out there and find out what you really love to do. She just happened to be exceptional at the thing she didn't love to do. And if you're not happy, if you want to pursue a career as a singer and you want to have the creative freedom to do that, do it. If WWE wasn't going to give you that flexibility and that window to do it, you go out there and you bet on yourself and know there's always an avenue for you to come back. I honestly believe that Samantha would come back biannually for like the big four to be the ring announcer. I do see that. She's not completely checked out.
Well, and Paul Levesque is like in charge now, so it's not the Vince McMahon. Like, I mean, the model is like the institution is similar, but the mentality of the guy in charge is a little different. So the options are different. There's not going to be like the kind of beefy, grudgy weirdness that might have been there before. It's like, she's good at this and she'll make us money, so she's welcome back. Like, I just, and from it did remind me actually when you said that, is that I was listening to Dave and Garrett talk, and he was like, she wanted to be a singer. And I mean, I know lots of people who are in live media, like that work stage shows and live media. Like, I know how hard it is that are even indie wrestlers, a couple of them. Like, you have to love what you do to do what these people do, because it's like the last job in the world anyone would pick, honestly. Like, I'd even pick like firefighter, even knowing how hard that job is, over being like an indie wrestler or someone that like has to be like booking at. I love my Ren Fair friends. I think they're incredible for doing what they do, because what a thankless freaking like love, like your passion is something that's about the hardest thing you can do to survive at. So you you have to. And in her case, like, she did what she wanted, she got what she needed out of it, and she has a, it makes me think I can't help but having an Andy Bernard leaving the office moment about this, because I cope with humor. So it was like, it makes me think of that. There's during the office, like Andy left to go pursue being a singer. And it was like this silly thing. And it was like a plot twist. And I was like, oh, that's funny. But then I was like, but really, at the end of the day, good on her.
Yes, bet on yourself. I love that. And I respect someone that willingly says, you know what? This isn't my passion. I'm going to go out there and find
Not my
something
passion.
for
I'm going to go
me.
work at something even harder.
Yes, and then kill it. That's what I'm going to do. And I love that. And then Brad
Good
says,
for her.
unfortunately, we saw the same kind of open contracts given to the UK scene, and we know how that ended. We
Yeah.
know the history of WWE, and people who want to ignore it are bound to repeat it. That is so true. And here's the one question I have, and I would love for this to be answered at the next quarterly earnings report for Endeavor or TKO, whatever they call themselves. So about NXT Europe, because we have heard zip about that in a long time. Are we still doing it?
Does that still exist? What?
Is it still a thing? Like Brad said, like points, like where is NXT Europe? Is it still bubbling? Have you tabled it? Is it dead? Tell
You
us.
certainly tried to kill the UK scene with it.
Yes.
I mean, thank goodness for things like Rev Pro. And I'm glad the OTT is managing to keep squeaking it out there and doing their thing. But yeah, I mean, we did see it, and it is something that's scary. So we need to hope that the relationships that are made. I mean, it sounds like it's gym by gym. So there may be gyms, like I know some of the gyms around here would probably be like, nah, thanks anyway.
Yeah, we're gonna
We're
stick
good.
to being.
We're good where we are. We're happy
Yeah.
with our. But there's also gyms around here who'd probably jump at the chance. So
Yeah.
I mean, because there's a lot of gyms around here where people are like pro wrestling schools for really real around here. So it's like I can see a lot of the schools being willing to have a relationship, because the value of WWE is undeniable.
Yes, and listen, they're throwing money to improve your
man.
rings and your everything. Like you
Well, and
can't
there's
turn it
small
down.
areas around here. So
Yeah.
I mean, and it's tough times all over. So that extra cash getting infused in there, it's hard to say no to that sometimes.
You just hope that it's for the good reasons.
Yeah.
But I think
we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
TBD on the WWE ID.
Yes, we have to know there are new people in charge, but has the mindset changed? As I said before, big ass lawsuits.
Yeah, that's one nice thing. It's very nice to see that big ass lawsuits are starting to include, like, you can't hide. Not that this one shouldn't have been like, we were taught in like Law 101 that you can't sign away your rights. Like, no matter what, you still can't sign your rights away. So like, you can enter into a contract, but if the contract has something that's fundamentally illegal inside of it, you're signing it does not sign your right away. So the fact that they are like getting in the weeds about saying, no, you can't have an NDA that hides criminal behavior. Like, you can't do that. You can't write an NDA that says that you're not going to talk about how you were harassed and like trafficked by your boss. Like, that's not a viable contract. So that helps, because there's going to be a lot of people that have signed NDAs for various reasons across various things, but certainly at the WWE, the NDA, Connecticut NDA Central of the universe, like, yikes. I mean, I hope that those laws keep going through, because it could change everything. But anyway, let's talk about Full Gear. let's talk about what we know about Full Gear. Unless wait, did we miss any questions that we needed to?
Let's see. Roy says, "Beautiful queens, what's your opinion about what you both see in the future of wrestling to get better? Pros and cons."
This is a tough one. I do see AEW getting an over $500 million contract with a major company as a huge pro.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether you are happy with where we are on the AEW product and the pushes for people or not, like that means that there's going to be at least major competitor in the marketplace for wrestling for a long time. And that's better for everybody. It's better for the fans. It's better for the wrestling. It's better for the wrestlers. I mean, no matter what Tony does with this money and where ROH goes, like it's basically ensured that there's going to be competition. And that's always good.
I love that too. And you said it the best, because you have another company that in the next 4 to 5 years is going to be worth $500 million.
Yeah.
And in the next cycle, when the rights are due again, they will be worth over $1 billion. And yes, they're going to be a distant second to WWE, but they're cash rich. They're flush with cash. What you do with it is going to be a question. And we know that the product is cold, but we know these things happen in cycles. And I feel in the next 5 years, AEW is going to be fine. Every cycle goes through a period of transition. And I feel like we're in transition period now for AEW. It's been that way for a couple of years. To me, the peak is when they signed Danielson, Cole, and Punk in a month. Like that was peak AEW. Nothing was going to ever top that. And it's going to take some time to rebuild the fan base that has eroded a bit. You see the numbers slip. I think they can bounce back. It's going to take time. And I think it's going to take Tony delegating responsibility and releasing some of that power he's held for so long, and build a circle of trust that people has your back, but they're also willing to call you out on what doesn't work.
So true. We all need those friends that will tell us, no, you're being silly right now. Like we need those people in our life, and we need them in our business spaces too. I mean, the original, like one of the most successful CEOs in the history of GE was like the kind of person that you could walk into his office and be like, this is stupid. It's not working. And here's why. And he would be like, okay. And you could be like a rando from like the lowest, like wherever. So Tony needs, I mean, Garrett said this a million times. We talked about it last week too, but you are like, Tony needs to learn how to be a real boss now. It's time to get an infrastructure. It's time to have a business plan.
It's time to get a team, a real team.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small creative team, get a team of wrestling minds. I'm not telling you to go out in Hollywood and get you some writers. If you want to keep it in-house, do it in-house. Have a circle of trust that you know is going to book the show right, it's going to tell the stories, believe in long-term booking. The first 5 years of this company, you planned ahead for years. The last year and a half, that has been a detriment in terms of being unfocused and letting things fall through the cracks, which was not what he did the first few years, because you're taking on too much. Running a football team, running 2 wrestling companies, running a football team for soccer.
Yeah.
2 football teams.
2 football teams and 2 wrestling teams.
That's crazy. So you have to delegate. If you want to make Bryan Danielson the COO of creative, do it. He would love to take the job. Give him the book.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We have said that so many times. The same goes for ROH. I know she's going through a lot of health things right now, but someone like Maria or like that, give her the book for AEW or for ROH and let them run the thing. Like they know, or there's like other people down there that know what they're doing. You've got the help. Will Washington's already in your inner circle. All the people that helped you do the Mariah May storyline for the last year, like, and the Tony Storm Mariah May, like, get those people to continue doing what they're doing. Like, let them work on that. You can't micromanage that every single. It's no matter how hard you want to, you just can't. And unfortunately, in a lot of ways, I think that was Vince's undoing. And so, like, don't learn from that. Learn from like the fact that you can't do that, because you may not end up in the same situation as him, like, fundamentally, but it messes with you as a human, and so it will stress you out and it will string you out. And we need to have AEW.
We need it.
That's why we're so hard on it sometimes, where people are like, oh, you're hating on it. It's like, no, I want it to be good, because it needs to be good so that it can continue to compete and make. AEW's made WWE better. There's absolutely no way that you can deny that, because it forced them to actually have a better plan and like write stories and do some of their best work in years, because they had competition.
Yes. Like, I would drag WWE when they were just hitting their lows in 2018, 2019, 2020. When WrestleMania hit Arlington back in 2022, I said, even with Vince still there, that was a turning point when Cody jumped from AEW to WWE. It felt like a seismic shift. Even a year before CM Punk returned to WWE, he saw WrestleMania. And despite everything, you saw what Stone Cold did at that show in the main event. You would want that for yourself. That's what we're saying. You would want the very best for your promotion. And when it was at its worst, I would always encourage WWE to do better. And because of the existence of AEW that filled a void of people being unsatisfied, people got what they wanted. WWE woke up and said, well, maybe we need to give the fans what they want, give them good stories. And guess what they're doing too? Promoting matches in advance that they never did for years. And then AEW slacks in that until recently. Like, you don't do what WWE did when they were falling off a cliff. Don't make those mistakes. You set the standard for where WWE is today. You set the template for what they're doing now. Don't fall back into tendencies that WWE had 5 or 6 years ago, because trust and believe, that was terrible. That was a rough way of living for me as a fan. I tapped out for a good while.
And it sucks because you don't want to, but when you can't take it anymore, it's just a bummer. It's like you want your product to be good. That's like why I enjoy your show, because you guys are doing the same thing when we're talking about AEW being accountable. Is like, you need to be accountable, because if you're not good, people don't like wrestling, and then wrestling goes away, and we don't want that. And that's like to keep the eternal flame burning for our favorite, like, escape from reality, because reality sucks right now, and we really need our wrestling to not suck.
We do.
It needs to fill in the gaps. Like, I love film and music, and I think they do an excellent job, but I need my silliness, like, silliness unchained in my, as it were, in my. Pro wrestling has really helped me through some tough times, and so I always want to see it be as good as it can be. And if that means that one or the other promotion has to be better to make the other one better, I just feel like that's good. And they're also doing something that people basically said could never be done again after WCW pwned it so bad. I was talking one day to John Muse about something totally random, and I was like, can you imagine if WCW hadn't gone down when that was happening? And he was like, no, the reverberations of that he's like, you can do that for days. Like, because we were talking about we were talking about Motor City Machine Guns, and that if WCW hadn't taken the turn that it did, there might have been a company that would have put them in the forefront. that would have put them in more contention for things like the Hall of Fame, because they would have been on TV, mainstream TV more. But because they made such terrible decisions, no like competition, and these two little guys who ironically are now in WWE didn't get the like TV time they could have maybe gotten that would have made them, because they were way ahead of their time, but they were on a third rate, like if you were lucky enough to be in a territory that got it, promotion at the time. And so now they're just kind of famous indie guys, which is sad because they really are the reason that like the Young Bucks, they actually were like the big advocates to Scott D'Amore and to TNA for getting the Bucks into and onto the televisions, because they and that's from the Bucks book, is that Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley were constantly on the TNA people like, no, seriously, you need to bring these guys here. No, you need to bring them here. Like, we wouldn't have seen the Bucks the way that we did if it hadn't. Like, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are intricately linked to our knowing who Matt and Nick Jackson even are. Like, and there's just no denying it. And they've even admitted as much. I mean, it's in their book. They said it. Their words. Like,
your favorite tag team. It rings truer by the day.
It's so God, I love that. It's exactly right. So let's do a quick swing through the what we know about Full Gear matches so far. Last night, Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia was made official.
It's going to be a good match. I do believe that. I don't sense a title change just yet. I think that Jack Perry is an interesting case of he's the kind of guy that's all about burn it down, seek and destroy, FAW, they scapegoated me. I do feel, and I know that people don't want it, but guys, the Death Riders and the Elite, bookmark it. It's going to happen. They're going to grow a heart like the Grinch. It's going to be 3 sizes bigger after trying to tank the company earlier this year. Yes, it's dumb. Yes, we can nod our heads and say this is the dumbest shit they can possibly do, but you know it's coming, because every time there's a Death Rider beatdown, they look so conflicted, and Jack Perry is the one that says, nope, fuck them. So you know what's going to happen ultimately. They're going to scapegoat Jack Perry, and they're going to be back to being baby faces. I called it here first.
So you guys heard it here on the Powerbombshells show. We have a great track record. My number of Sam called it tweets at this point, like, it's up there. I should go total them up. So now we got Keela. Keela was right and Sam was right. So I like it. I actually like that. And if Kenny if Kenny Omega is in fact getting better and is going to be capable of wrestling, that's a perfect clash, because you've got Okada and Kenny right there.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know we want to see that. And I don't know, I would guess, like, if I had to project that one, if they were going to put that together and Kenny's healthy, because they just announced Forbidden Door is going to be in London, maybe there you see Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada 5. But I don't know. It feels like it needs to be in Japan. Maybe that's just my bias.
It does. Like, it's not proper unless it's in the Tokyo Dome. It's not proper.
I mean, it's not going to get all 7 stars unless it's in the Tokyo Dome.
Exactly.
We all know that. I mean,
or
that's
8. Or 8.
Or 8.
Yes.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if he broke his own scale again? I cannot. I would have to mute Twitter forever. If he breaks his own scale again, I might actually go after him.
Yes, I think
he can never actually, Dave, I'm telling you on my show live right now, and I know that you have no idea and don't listen, but do not break your own scale ever again. Okay? You will break social media. Well, you'll break wrestling social media anyway.
Yes.
Oh my God.
If he
It's
goes
still
8
my favorite
stars,
joke, though. I love that joke. I will never get that joke will never get old with me. I like using it in Christmas cards and birthday cards for my friends who are wrestling nerds. Have a 7-star in the Tokyo Dome birthday is like the funniest thing you can say in my mind. It will never get old. It's like all the jokes about like I played soccer. We had a lot of balls. Like it'll never get old.
no, it's like the standard.
Sports balls jokes will never get old. It's just yes, it's sophomorish. Yes, saying duty is funny. Deal with it, okay? Sometimes the simplest things can be fun. Brad, yep, called that on Twitter. The Elite come to realize there's no AEW without the Elite, and they make a stand against the Death Riders. I put it in my veins. I am ready for a long-term build. There's no one in either of those groups I don't want to see beat each other up.
Yes, look at Brad, seeing the vision. The Elite versus Death Riders and Anarchy in the Arena and Blood and Guts. It's happening. It's happening.
That's a good idea. Anarchy in the Arena is a perfect venue for that.
That'll be bonkers. I would love it. And they need to play music for the entire hour. Don't cut a damn thing off.
No.
License the most expensive music, Tony. You got half a bill now. You can do it. You can afford it. I'm here.
It's Warner Brothers. They own a lot of those rights.
Yes, you better call Warner Brothers Records and you better tell them, give me a song they can play for an hour as a brawl all throughout that arena.
Sure. Listen, hey, we all know that I'm pretty sure that they owned Columbia House, okay? So we know what their music
Mel, wait, pause, time out, flag on the play, challenge. Wait a minute. Columbia House music. For those of you that bought 10 CDs for a single penny, God bless you. God bless all of us. We all did it. Columbia House, find the best 10 albums in the 90s and have it shipped to your house. That was a blessing. Oh,
don't tell anyone about the hitch, but it really was.
Let me tell you something. The hitch is you owe the money back eventually, and it will ruin your credit rating for years.
Oh yeah. That was the thing. So
you ain't got $200. You are effed for years. Credit collection agencies will be calling your house, asking you about those 10 damn CDs that you bought for a penny, and you didn't read the fine print. Thank
you. I'm so glad that was not a wasted reference. So even Bob and I, we both obviously did it before we met each other, but once when we were together in the early aughts, we did it, and we did it knowing that we were going to like buy the CDs and everything. I mean, his credit was wrecked already. I rejected credit for years. I was that person. But it was hilarious. But it led to us actually buying 2 copies of the Globe Sessions by Sheryl Crow. So,
oh man,
that
was an incredible album.
2. And I had brought one to the relationship. So we owned 3 copies of the Globe Sessions. Oh
my God.
Thank you, Columbia House, for your contribution.
God bless you. And I want to thank them personally for bringing Crazy Sexy Cool in my life by TLC. My mom, she took advantage of the 10 for a penny. And I played that CD so much. At the time I was too young to understand.
Of course.
Until I got older. And then when I scratched the CD up, I rebought it at Kmart and made Kmart rest 20 years ago. I re-got the CD.
Last year. They closed like the last one here recently. It was like such a sad time.
Yes. One in Atlanta stuck for like years during the whole transition. And I would go there and I said, let me get my TLC. Like that was a Columbia House original purchase in my house. And I love that CD. It turned 30 this year. It's a treasure. And I appreciate it now that I know what all the lyrics mean as a grown person.
Isn't it? What's funny about that is I usually figure that out even now, even older as a grown person. Karaoke is funny because you'll pick a song and then you'll start singing the song and you're like, wow, I haven't heard this song in a long time. And I remember all the lyrics to it. But now I'm in my 40s and holy crap, this song is inappropriate for karaoke.
I've caught that later in life. Like some of these lyrics I was singing out loud, like, what am I doing?
I
am I
love that about
doing?
albums from that time though, because there's like my same with Salt and Pepper, and there were a few other like I loved like my PM Dawn CD was one of my favorite things that I got because I felt so like ahead of the guy. Felt like such an edgelord that I had the whole album and not just the one that they were playing on the radio. Look at me, so sexy. We also bought Oasis, so don't get excited. Like,
Gray is standing on the truth thing. It was a great deal. You only had to buy 6 more CDs. Cancel, then do it again. Yes.
it's true. If you understood the work, it was actually kind of cool. But if you said it, because if you missed that deadline and you didn't buy it, those CDs, you had to buy 6 more CDs, but they were like the price of like buying a Mario game.
Oh my God. Listen, for those of you that don't understand, a CD back in 1994 cost almost $30.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like $30. It was $29.99 was what you had to buy them for.
Yes.
Because that extra, there's like a whole weird thing that you might even appreciate this. So people actually did research on that 99 thing, and it actually is a psychological way of getting consumers to think they save money. When Panera recently because they're like trying to be all like, we have everything under $10. And I'm like, are those things $9.99? And sure enough, they pretty much are.
Yeah.
So
like the CD price dramatically dropped like by
and that
the
was
end
a
of the
lot
90s.
of money.
Yes.
So much money back then.
It was.
$30 does not seem like that much, but it was like I said, it's like buying for me, like buying a Mario game at full price. Even today, they're always like $70. That was what a CD cost. It was the equivalent in today's dollars of having to buy like a Mario game at full price.
Yes.
They were all like $30 a CD.
It was crazy.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. And it was like, especially if you was a kid and you had like an allowance, you was allowed a CD a month because there was no way you was going to have your parents pop $60 for 2 CDs. Now you can pay $13.99, $9.99 if there's a good sale on Amazon. If you're a Taylor Swiftie lover, now you can buy whole box sets for $30 if you want everything. But back then, oh my God.
It was so much. He's not wrong, but they were expensive. Like it was worth it though. I think before you had like streaming music, it was a great way. And like you said, I mean, you get those 10 CDs and you listened the F out of them because you were probably never going to follow through on that. And if you did the deal right, you were fine. But Keela's right. Most of us did it wrong and screwed our credit up.
Yeah, for years.
That was a whole generation's entire credit scores. There were predicated. It wasn't medical debt. It wasn't student debt. It was those goddamn 10 CDs for
the debt collection agencies came for us, and
Get out of here.
The 6 are only
here, like breaking down the inventory.
Like it was only $19.99. Yes, because if you did not execute that deal, you were screwed. And then they would send you the bill. And then it was like, you sending me a bill? You said it was a penny. Like, no, now we want the full price, guys. So let's see. 10 CDs times 30 equals 300 smackers. You got it for us?
So good. They were masters. That was one of the like that was such a pop culture like pyramid scheme almost that you had to like it was strangely brilliant and part of our like upbringing. This is why we like, but see again, physical media, I still do appreciate having that physical media sort of sitting down there.
I do.
Yes, we do, and he's not kidding. We have way too many CDs.
I agree. I'm looking at my collection right now. I'm not forsaking
and no one wants them.
No, I'm keeping mine. I still have like my portable CD player that I got from my Kmart that's closed now, may it rest. Like I still listen to physical CDs because the audio that I've learned in college, when you listen to music digitally, like on Spotify or Apple Music, it's so compressed. If you still get the vinyl and the real CD, you still get that sound quality. I learned that lesson because you can tell if you listen on Spotify versus the CD, it's night and day. You pick up the sound so much better with the physical media.
Sound engineering is so much fun. Like I've only learned it by like doing this kind of thing. And it was like I started podcasting in 2012 because my cousin like was like, come on here and do this. And so I started becoming sort of a like hobby, you know, like I have a digital audio workstation and I can like rip our podcast and put it online and do all those things. And I've learned how to edit and do it and put, you know, and it's fun. I really actually, it's daunting, but it can be a lot of fun. But you're like, when you're talking about that, it's, so my sister still has the original record player that my dad's a record player, and she's kept it up so we can still listen to. Like I have the 7 words you can't say on television on vinyl. It's one of my favorite vinyls that she's kept, and I love George Carlin. So I found it in when they were still like used CD stores. Also had the vinyl section in certain like. If you went to Boston, Newbury Comics had used CDs and also used vinyls. And that was where I was able to find that and bring it home. But these are things that I like. I still love, because vinyls were kind of like my first picture books. So because my dad and mom had their collections and they had a couple double CD collections, or like my mom had Sgt. Pepper, and like the artwork was so great. And then I've had a good friend who in the 2000s and 2010s, he actually, because the bands were still putting vinyl albums out because they recognized that there was a group of people that liked it, he did cover art for a couple of actual vinyl albums. So it's like, that's so cool. I love it. It's why a good 8x10 is still fun.
Yeah.
My first 8x10 was a gift, and because I never would have thought to buy one myself. And I've since then thought to buy them because my first one was a gift. And it's such a special, it's Jeff Cobb and it's signed. And it was so cute because it's a joke between me and my friend, because basically I always send Christmas cards because I can't afford to buy presents for everyone. So I do cute Christmas cards if I can, and I send them out to everybody that I am able to. And he felt bad for years I had done that. So because we're Jeff Cobb co-friends, he had Jeff Cobb, and he's like, you know, she always sends me these things, and he's like, do you want me to put Merry Christmas on it? And he actually, so it's signed, and he wished me a Merry Christmas, the whole thing. It's very cool. So, see, wrestling, physical media, even in wrestling.
I love it. This sidebar of Columbia House music is one of my favorite bombshell segments of all time.
You're welcome.
Because that drop, oh my God.
I'm so glad.
The memories rushed back immediately.
I'm so glad that I could like foster your memories in a good way. I'm glad it wasn't lost. Like,
no. Because I still own select Columbia House CDs today.
They're sitting downstairs. I know right where they are. They're sitting all spread out because we were inventorying what we have. It's like, hey, okay, that Crash Test Dummies album made me an edgelord, okay? Nobody bought. I think he does. He has what's the one? I think it's Cracker, maybe, or like Bob has some really obscure ones. Like he was like a total edgelord, so he had all the weirdly named '90s bands ones.
Oh my gosh,
like that no one else had. Plus, he's the one who introduced me to They Might Be Giants, and we actually got to see them live. And I love that kind of fun, goofy, weird, interactive. That level of music, because it borders on like old school folk and also crisscrosses like what my Ren Fair friends do, and I love it. Music's great.
It's the best.
Music,
so
I think music, wrestling, and like the stuff with Ren Fair, and I've talked about this so many times because it's all born of the same stock. It came from the culture of us getting together and doing performances and doing music and doing art and doing festivals and selling our wares. That was the way we came together all over the world in every culture. Like you went to market and there was festival at market and there were bards at the festival and strong men. Here we are talking about some strong men that are going to be fighting each other. So the Hurt Syndicate does not have anything confirmed for Full Gear at this point.
No, just a challenge issued by Swerve to Bobby.
Right. And then there's this Eliminator challenge that's going on for the tag team title shot at Full Gear, right? Is that how I'm understanding that?
Yes, how I despise Eliminator matches, but here we go.
You and Sam both. You are a perfect person to be here today because you and her ire would be shared. So
as I said a couple of weeks ago, I am Sam and Sam is me.
It's Sam and Keela. I think it's in a healthy way. Have very good, like they're on their vibe line is very similar. So it's like a good, perfect. You know how it is. All right. I just have to send that real quick. And here we go back to that. And so let's talk about I think we kind of hit on Mercedes versus Statlander earlier, but again, that is happening. So that is a confirmed match for Full Gear. Hopefully that gets some time and they can go.
Yes, that's my hope too. Give them a good 15 and I'm good.
Yeah, they should at least get 15 or 20, I feel like, on this. And this needs to be a good match. I think this is the answer to, though, is Mercedes like plus or minus. Like, I feel like that might be in this match, too. I think you said that earlier, and I tend to agree with that.
I think this is the side-eye test because I expect nothing less than a good to great match. If it falls below that, then I will start to have questions. And I don't want to have questions.
Me either.
But the talent in this match should not be less than stellar in this case. Give them the time and the story, and it should be great.
This isn't Britt Baker. This is somebody who's we've both had reps. It's ready. This is a ready to go match. We need to see kind of from both. I mean, I hope they both can, because they have it in them. That could be a really good match. But we do have Swerve versus Lashley, so that's definitely happening.
Yes, we can just basically pencil it in and say it's official. Who should win? You know, it's tough because Bobby is new and he's fresh and he has a point to prove. Exactly. He has been injured for the last year or so on and off television, but I'm hoping he is healthy, which I presume he is, and that he and Swerve can go out there and have a very good to great match. Who should win? It's a real toss-up because Swerve's been losing recently at the PLEs against Hangman specifically and against Danielson for the championship. He needs a bounce back. Because Bobby's new, it might not happen at this show, but hopefully by the end of the year, he gets the win. But in this case, probably going with Lashley because he's the new guy in town.
Yeah, he kind of needs I don't think it's going to hurt Swerve to win. I don't love that outcome, but I think that you're right in terms of importance of Bobby Lashley is the new guy. He needs to get a big win hopefully they're pushing him. So that would be a good push for him. We've got Hangman versus Jay White, which there's no reason why this shouldn't be a banger because it's Hangman and Jay White.
Yes, it should be great. Hangman being a surly bastard was not on my bingo card this year, but he plays it so well. Grumpy Hangman is the best.
What we turned it into Angry Millennial Cowboy is actually better than angsty Millennial Cowboy. So we have gone with we love Angry Millennial Cowboy. We're ready to go for that. I think Jay White is wrestling. Him and Juice are wrestling in something on Dynamite this week. I've been really enjoying Bullet Club Gold. That might be my bias to those guys in general, but I feel like that faction is a lot of fun. And now that Juice is back, it pumps the energy back into it that we need.
And they're good baby faces, which is good to see too.
They really are. It's funny how they're like that. They're sort of the anti-authoritative baby face fun. Like it's great. And it's nice to have a faction of Bullet Club in AEW just because it feels like it should be there. MJF versus question mark. Is what I have on mine. I put Cole question mark because he's apparently one of the people in the thing, and it seems like the most logical thing to try to put, maybe to close that whole loop and move on.
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to get cutesy with it now, trying to maybe possibly shoehorn Roderick in here as well.
Like a 4-way or a 3-way in here.
I don't want to see that. And it's already complicated enough because you have to undo everything we remember from this feud dating back to last year when Adam Cole revealed himself as the devil. And at the time, MJF was a babyface. And now you've reversed the roles. And you do hear with some of the crowd reaction that they don't fully buy in, because you can't flash thingy the people like Men in Black, like Will Smith. You can't flash thingy the people and say what you saw for the last year didn't happen. It did. And now you have to justify it. I get it, but a lot of people don't buy it. I feel for Adam because he's trying his very best. I do hear the boo birds in some cases because this storyline is ridiculous. Hopefully the match can erase a lot of this story from really not making a lot of sense, but it's where we are. They made this decision to switch the roles out, but unfortunately it's a lot to not remember, and I can't forget any of the last year.
Yeah, we can't unsee a lot of that madness that went on with them, like doing their thing and going to like Boston, like famous Boston Chinese restaurants.
Yes.
It's just I'm sure that Tony wishes he had the Men in Black flashy thing more than anything, because that would help with this situation.
Yeah, a new Eliza would just erase everything, but
It's
unfortunately,
really nice. Unfortunately, yeah, he was getting whatted this week, and not only do I hate that in general, I feel like that has whatting people to me has gone to like Bush League with wrestling. Like, it's just not something that I don't even like it in indie wrestling. I don't even want to hear it at a like indie show. I just think it's antiquated. Its time is past. I get why people do it. I understand what you're trying to say. I think it's pretty JV, but that's your choice. But it doesn't look good on the television, and it sucks because Adam Cole is usually like a great, like, it's time for story time with Adam Cole, baby. Like, why are we not doing that?
Yeah, it's very weird. And I think the what chant needs to be like banned in all promotions. It's too much now. Like, fans, it's been over 20 years. We're pushing 25 years of this chant. I love Stone Cold. I hate you for this. Hate you for this. Still. Let's convert the what's to yes, like LA Knight. Can we do that?
I would love that. I'll do that. I don't even watch the product, but if that's like a thing that will make that go away, to me, it's like writing a check or like chiseling something in stone. Like, stop it. It's so freaking old. Like, you're not driving here in your Model T Ford either. Like, come on. I hate it so much. It's one of my biggest pet peeves that audiences, fans do. It's GTFOH on that one. So that's how I feel about that. But it sucks because that does sort of speak to how kind of bad that flopped with people.
Yeah.
And that sucks because those are two pretty talented guys in and out of the ring and in and out of like promotions or like for cutting promos. I mean, I'm enjoying like the Outrunners promos more than almost anything these days.
Let me tell you something. Turboy Floyd, wherever his name was when he first debuted in AEW, Turbo Floyd. Okay, let me tell you how you can make a career. He made a random jobber appearance, got a tag team out of it, has finessed it into one of the greatest stories of this year. I love this man. I love what he's been able to do, what he's been able to create. Give that man a raise. Give him a Christmas bonus. You do whatever you need to do. I love that man.
I love the Outrunners. I know that a lot of people were not on board, but I was on board day one.
It was love at first sight for me when I first saw that man.
Me
Yes.
too, yes, because it was 80s tag team madness. I love it. They're getting, like, last night they had the other team that was out there, and they were leaning into it a little, and they had me thinking about the natural disasters and stuff, which I love. That's my member berries. I'm totally nostalgia there. Like, but the Outrunners, even them cutting their promos with the shaky camera work, and so
I love them. I love them.
I mean, I feel like if you don't like them, you don't get wrestling.
No. It is a love letter to everything that was in the 80s.
Like, the best parts of 80s wrestling are in them. And they get it. Tessa said, anyone chanting "what" or "we want tables" should be banned for life. You know what? I am okay with that, and we could definitely put that one on the table to put to a vote. Because I am all about tables and ladders in the right circumstances. It's fine. But it's been done to death. And it's fine. But I don't need it. It's not for me. But I certainly agree on the what thing. And then the tables, sure, I guess if you need tables.
Yes,
fine.
but like it's so annoying when tables are not even a part of the freaking match. It's like, can they have the match and get the tables later? I hate it. I hate it in WWE. I hate it in AEW. I don't want to hear a tables chant. Let the people wrestle, and you would get your freaking table whenever you get your freaking table.
Well, the table should be it's just like anything. Like, it's just like any trope in any genre of anything, music, movies, anywhere. Jump scares. Tables have become the jump scare of wrestling. It's dumb. Like, I just don't need it. Yay. Like, or if you're someone who's anti-lens flare, it's the lens flare of AEW, like, or of wrestling. Like, cut it out. We don't need it. It's unless you're using it in a clever way, it just gets boring. It becomes like a real prop and not a natural, organic evolution of a match prop. If that makes sense.
It does. Absolutely. And I agree, because it should be an organic use and not something that you should just chant for the sake of chanting it because it's a hardcore match and you presume a table is going to be involved. Because in wrestling, they space out the garbage matches. Some match will feature the table and the other one will not. And you have to understand that, because you know what they're trying not to do? Run the gimmick into the ground by doing it too much in the same fucking show. Excuse my language, but it's true.
I couldn't agree more. It just loses the vibe. All right. Let's get to the coup de grace. I love pronouncing it phonetically, which is Mox versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW Championship.
Oh, this is going to be a goodie. Heel Moxley has been a revelation with his medium t-shirts on, this buff body. He's still struggling, but he's still whooping ass. He's so evil. I love the crew. Willa Yuta, who I've talked about recently as being the guy that can be a heel, he's wavering a bit because he does have that connection to Orange Cassidy. And I do wonder when he's going to flip, because I do think he did this under distress when he murked Bryan Danielson at the last pay-per-view. Like, he had a moment of crisis. Like, what do I do? Do I save my friend, or do I fall in line? And he fell in line, and he might have buyer's remorse. I don't know how it's going to go, but I do feel like Moxley is not letting go of this championship anytime soon. We're at the beginning of the story, far more than at the end. We have a long way to go. Orange Cassidy is victim number one in a line of victims, and I'm here for it. And I know that people did not want the elite involved, but from the moment Matthew and Nicholas looked on concerned, I knew the fix was in, and I can accept it. Is it dumb? Yes. But as Brad said, they are the heartbeat and soul of AEW. They are the founding fathers. And when you have someone that's trying to tear that apart, you're going to get in formation and you're going to apologize to Tony Khan and you're going to wave that flag like you haven't waved the flag before. So, Orange Cassidy, you're going to lose for the greater good for now.
I like that. That's perfect. Yes, for the greater good.
Yes, he's going to have to eat the bullet, dude.
Exactly right. No, you actually, I love how you put that because that's so much better. Like, yes. And you know it's going to be a good match because both of them can wrestle and they will wrestle their asses off and it'll be a really fun match. And I know a lot of people like want Orange to do it right now. And I'm like, not yet. Not yet. Maybe, but not yet. And I agree on the Moxley thing. It seems like we're in for a bit. Like, and I'm not going to lie, but I love Death Riders. I love that Marina Shafir is now involved in that.
She's such a badass, man. Like, her usefulness has finally reached its true form because she scares the shit out of me.
Finally, as Sam would say, because Bryan Danielson was a He-Man woman hater, they couldn't have her in there. But now we see that it was a big mistake because of that. It was a big mistake because Moxley wanted her the whole time.
Yes.
As soon as he was gone, literally, she was there. It was like, well, now we know who's in charge.
Exactly. Executive decision.
Great. She's like, yeah, who's in charge? Him or me?
Exactly.
Go? I love it. I just love it. They are like, yeah, it's actually making it interesting. And like now, like you were talking about, where they're like doing the thing again, where they're actually building the pay-per-views around like matches or announcing matches a little bit earlier. Like we got this Mox and Orange Cassidy, at least the idea, the seed was planted. We had a good idea it was going to happen. It's been finalized, but they followed through and they didn't try to swerve us and do weird things. Like, I'm really looking forward to the whole entire thing.
Me too. And I love Marina's presence. It's actually reminding me a bit of Rhea Ripley. Like when you are the standout in your own faction as the woman and you are just whooping ass. Like, I think like if you give her time is coming in the women's division. In the next year, like when she wins a championship, whether it's the TBS or the women's title, I'll pray for everyone because she is going to murk everyone in that division. And if this company has half a brain cell, which I know they do, the money would be down the road Athena and Marina.
Oh my God, yes. Oh gosh. I didn't realize how bad I need that in my life.
I need it in my life. I do.
God, they just put it on TV. Diesel putting Bret Hart through a table at Survivor Series was the way to do it because it came out of nowhere. That's pretty much exactly right, Daza. It's because it was, but that's it. In a nutshell.
Yes.
That is exactly the point, is that it's supposed to be a gimmick used once in a while so that it's like, ooh. It's not supposed to. Yeah. It's a trope now. It's become a trope. It has become a wrestling trope. Get to tables. Okay. No. Besides, like, why injure people? Like, we've seen a lot of people get injured on table matches that maybe weren't necessary, so why risk it? But yes, I'm very excited for actually Full Gear is shaping up like those, just the matches we've been over today. That's a really solid deal. We've got about 2 weeks, I think. It's 2 weeks from yesterday. It's not next Saturday, it's the Saturday after.
Yes.
So they've still got some time to throw some more stuff in there. They've got some time to build some stuff around this. Maybe we get another women's match on the actual card, not in the 0 hour. I won't hold my breath, but as Sam would say, I won't hold my breath, but I will be cautiously optimistic that we decide that maybe we can have like 2 women's matches on the card and a third women's match on 0 hour or something, but don't get greedy, that kind of thing. So we shall see. What do we got here? Yep. I think we're caught up on everything.
Yes,
All
everything's been
right.
caught up in the chat box, and I think we're done.
I think that is the thing, and that is a good place to put a pin in this week's episode of Power Bombshells, because it's time to get on to everyone's Sundays. Keela, I really appreciate you coming in and helping out while Sam is healing. You are one of my favorite people to talk to, and I'm so glad that Columbia House references were shared amongst us, because it warms my heart. Other people know that struggle.
The struggle of a 6 or 7-year-old that understands the issues of debt and understand that origin story of it. I loved being here today. I was very happy to fill in for Sam. May she continue to recover. The voice of Power Bombshells will be back soon, hopefully. And I had a blast with everyone in the chat, even when disaster hit with you losing power for 5
God,
minutes.
what the heck?
It's
Michigan. That's pure Michigan right there. That's what we do here.
I briefly malfunctioned, but I got it together. And Daza out of love says, I caught a warrior.
Awesome.
I love that. And I love you.
You are the best. You guys, really always appreciate you guys being in the chat, of course, and just supporting us and hanging out with us and being great and nice. And so,
Sam pops
and
in.
there you go. Thank you.
A pleasure.
See, she's
as
there.
always.
She's out there healing. We love you, Sam, and we will keep holding down the fort until you feel good and are ready to come back here. And I know that she's going to be like ready to say a lot of stuff because, well, let's face it, when you've not had a chance to go after it, I might have to give her like the first 20 minutes of the show and give her just a solid, like, what are we doing here segment for like 20 minutes. She can go over everything, every beef she's had for the past 3 weeks.
Daza has some movie recommendations. My Old Ass on streaming and Heretic at theaters. All right. I love anything involving my old and ass in that order.
That whole I'm already sold by the title. That's like, and because I know that Daza knows the kind of stuff that I think is funny, I think that's, yeah, I will take those recommendations. Thank you. I'm into that. All right, everybody. So once again, we love you, lady.
We love you too, Sam.
We do. We'll see you soon. You'll be good. Kick cancer's ass. She didn't need a table or anything.
Exactly. So, she did it the old-fashioned way. A clean pinfall victory.
That's right. 100%.
Yes, and that's my old ass stars, Aubrey Plaza, who I like. So I'm already sold.
All right. Thank you for the recommendation. That's really cool. So make sure you subscribe to this network and get all the full informations and check out the wrap is on Mondays. I do guys usually do the thing on Monday and it drops on Monday, or it's first thing Tuesday morning at the absolute latest on our Spotify. So, but if you follow us here, we've got the like videos and clips and all the whole 9 yards. You get the wrap on Monday. You get Speaking of Strong Style on Thursday. And you guys had Jeremy here last week. All kinds of other bonus content on this channel. Lots of fun stuff. Wednesday night, don't forget Jeff and Paul do the Dynamite show live about 15 minutes after the show. And you can go in there and tell Jeff that he's wrong about Kenny Omega debuting on New Japan and that no one cares except us nerds. And Dave agreed with me, so haha. But anyway, gotta finish on an up note. All right, you guys hang in there, and don't forget that we got this. We're fine. We will be okay. We will get through the next few years. I know
we got this,
but we were actually stronger the last time, so maybe it'll actually help us get better. And so hang in there, and we will see you guys next Sunday. Appreciate it. Thank you again, Keela. Thank you again, everyone in the chat. And we will see you next week.